We're back! Hey there, everybody, and welcome to the BUSR Spring GT3 Championship in the Corsa Competizione. I'm Cav,
I'm Juuso.
and it's time to go through a tale of BUSR folklore as we return to a track in Kent called Brands Hatch. Nothing has ever been redacted from our records around here, and I'm sure nothing is going to get redacted today. 90 minutes of racing, we've got a qualifying session just around the corner, but I think before we do that, we need to go to our SimHound track guide of the track. Voiced by yours truly. By our partners over at SimHound, here's the track guide for the 3.9 kilometers of Brands Hatch. Getting ready for Paddock Hill Bend. You want to brake at the 1. You want to keep yourself towards the inside and then run all the way out to the outside, but keep 2 tyres on that track surface. Brake at the 1 for Drew. It's the slowest corner of the track. First gear. Depending on the cars, you might see a different line through here, but all of them will try to get out wide and then set up for Graham Hill. Brake at the start of this curve on the right, over to the left. You want to use a maximum of the inside, then on the outside. You don't want to get too loose, but you can keep 2 wheels on the curb before you brake at the 1 for Surtees, named after the late Henry Surtees. Keep yourself in the middle of the track if you're in stuff like a McLaren here. You want to maximise this curb anyways, because it's a run down Pilgrim's Drop before we get into Hawthorne Bend, named after the British F1 champion. Braking for the 1, make sure you don't get redacted. That curb is very small on the inside and there's very little on the outside. Then we go into Westfield. You've got a lot of curb here on the inside to help you out, not so much on the outside as you run into Dingledale. And then you're going to be braking around the 1 on the right here for Sheen. You want so much curb to use, but nothing on the outside. So you don't want to be touching the grass there. Brake at the 1 for Mosh. You can use all the curb on the inside. Some cars will use the outside curb, but then it's a nice little reprieve again as we run towards the Clark curve, named after one of the greatest of all time, Jim Clark. Brake at the 1. You want to keep yourself hugging that curve on the inside before you run down the quote-unquote straight, that is the Brabham straight. If you're going to start another lap, it's over on the left. For a faster lap, you stick to the right. Let's see who's going to be the fastest around our first track of the season. Now, I haven't actually given my colleague sat over here a chance to speak properly yet. So, Juuso, what are you expecting from tonight's race?
Well, I mean, we've always talked about how Brands is a very eventful race here at the BUSR, and I'm expecting one. It's the first race of the season. It's going to be a lot of new drivers testing their limits, and Brands not exactly the widest of tracks. So, I mean, we could be seeing some very exciting things happening.
It's funny because for friends at BUSR, we run an event on Fridays called the Global Excursion, a sort of follow-up to our World Tour from 2021. And I think that people who take part in both of those will be quite lucky because 3 of us who were there, who got involved in an incident at Paddock Hill on the first lap, aren't racing tonight. One of them is part of the RO team, that's Alexa Gates, and then the other 2 of us, myself and Max Grime, are up here. So if something funny happens, we will point and laugh, I think. But it's enough about that. It looks like qualifying is about to get underway. So shall we see what's going to happen out on track?
Yeah, I think getting into qualifying, we can really expect, similar to last time. There are a couple of big favorites, the ones we're expecting to do really well, but then the midfield again is extremely open. We have no idea what's going to happen there. So I think a couple of drivers to watch, I think, is something that we should probably pick and choose a little bit going in. Cav, what would be your choices here?
Yeah, I think what I'm really looking forward to is seeing some of the returning names and also a couple of the new names as well. But it's nice to see names that we can recognize if you're coming back from a previous season. Some new licks of paint on some of the drivers. There's a very familiar paint scheme for a very familiar driver, but a combination that we haven't really seen before. And I'm looking forward to seeing that. It's actually one of the Bentleys that I believe is about to get underway onto a flying lap. It's this one here, the number 285, Harry Spears, running a very familiar Loughborough livery that we saw Deadeye running back in the original season for BUSR. So we've already seen what the track guide was telling us. Now let's see what some of the pros do when they throw it around Brands Hatch.
Yeah, I mean, Harry Spears is obviously going to be one of the favorites for this race and the entire season as a whole. I think going to be looking to do well. Obviously, had to drop out last season due to prioritizing university work, as obviously everyone is a student here competing. So we'll see what he's able to do today. I think a pole position, anything other than a pole position, would be a disappointment for him today. But let's see what he can do in his first lap.
Yeah, and just a reminder that we do have a 107% rule as well. So people throughout the pack are going to be looking to see what Harry does, and also the likes of, for example, where is he? Jack Noller, the 36 McLaren, who is right behind Harry on track. You'll be seeing
Yeah,
with
and
the Williams Esports Academy kind of livery on there. Those two are going to be the benchmarks that everybody else is going to be trying to get within 10% of. As I see, the 14 of Ishar has just gone into the wall, leaving Graham Hill. But
yeah, I think with the McLaren, you talked about Jack Noller on screen right now. I think that one's going to be the another car to watch, especially competing with Harry Spears. McLaren is known to be very strong here at Brands Hatch, and obviously there was a small update to the sim today as well, and it seems to be favoring the McLaren at Brands. So it'll be very interesting to see if Jack is able to take the fight to Harry Spears. On the first lap, gets very close.
and then we've got Ramley here in the 86 M4 GT3, a new car for this season. It was released towards the tail end of our winter championship, but we weren't able to do the switch over in time for that championship because it came out at round 5 of 6. As we see Oliver Fletcher's pulled over. I think, is he the sole Roll Holloway entry this season?
We
No,
do
we've got
have
we've also
Mushtaq
got
as well
Mushtaq, yeah,
in
but I
the
think he's the
McLaren.
sole Roll Holloway Motorsport entry because Mushtaq is entered under his own kind of team entry. As we see Josh Perrott here pulled over in the Mercedes. There's quite a diverse list of cars here this season.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we've seen some cars more represented than others. McLaren seems to be a favorite of many of the drivers in the BUSR right now.
Only one
Um,
Ferrari.
we talk about the meta sometimes in these sims, and for those unfamiliar, it basically just means what is the favored car, what is generally the fastest car at a specific time.
Oh, no, it's
The
not
meta picks will be the ones that are the easiest ones to drive, and McLaren seems to be one of the meta picks right now, along with the BMW M4. But yeah, we generally do see a relatively good spread of cars in the BUSR, as we do see some more beginners. We see a lot drivers of all different skill levels. And the meta doesn't really matter that much in the midfield, as driver skill tends to matter a lot more.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best way to put it as we see Ethan O'Malley pulled over there just after Sheen. Oh, that's a bit of a risky rejoin. Gets out the way of the McLaren. That's the number 76 of Lodge. I'm just calculating what the 107% would be at the moment. With it being a 122.6, it would be you'd have to be setting a 128.3.
Yeah,
So
so that's the target to hit for the back of the field at the moment. It doesn't look like everyone is
O'Malley isn't at the moment.
very close with O'Malley, but a little bit of
Needs to find
improvement.
another
And
couple attempts. Yeah, 2-3
yeah,
attempts would be enough to get him through.
so just looking up and down the list, I think no major surprises so far. I mean, we're seeing a lot of similar performances we were expecting from last season. I think a couple of the performances I think we can expect to climb a little bit. Um, for example, Cam Gold has shown some moments of brilliance in the Global Excursion Series.
You got a front
For
row of the shakedown
example,
last week as well.
yeah, and yeah, exactly, front row at the shakedown. So we could be seeing potentially some better performances coming in from him, but we'll have to see. Obviously, qualifying, getting that one lap can be tough at times, especially on a track like this where a single mistake will easily lose you more than a second. So it'll be interesting to see towards the end of the qualifying where the timing board stands.
I think the problem that Cam has is in particular with brands, because that he's found that his single lap has been roughly where, in terms of relative pace, his single lap has been where his race pace usually is, and his race pace is then even further down. So in terms of, if this was his race pace, you'd find him well up into the top 10. But right now it's only P12. It's nice to see a couple of Audis in the field this year, though. You've got Unstead just in front. You've also got Cher in the 549, as we see with Unstead. Who was that who was pulling off at the same time? I think that was O'Malley in the 94, who has now got even faster. Wow, at 27.2. That does, I believe, put every driver within the 107% at the moment. It's a really good job by Ethan to get into that. Because the thing is, you've got people with all kinds of different abilities here at BUSR. So as much as the 107% is, you'd think, oh, I've watched F1 before. 107% means every driver's going to meet it. When this, for some people, is like their first proper league race in a sim that they probably never touched before, to be able to get it right within those 15 minutes of qualifying can be a bit tough at times.
Yeah, definitely. All levels of skill represented, and that's one of the beauties of university sim racing and university esports as a whole. We're able to accommodate for all different skill levels.
Oh,
Everyone's able
enjoy
to
the
compete. That's that's yeah, a little bit
Oh,
loose. And
oh no! There's been a massive accident, and it's not even the.
oh, that's a bit of a mess there.
No, hang on. Who's left the session?
Unsure there, but yeah, that's gonna fall under something that we would consider redacted there as a massive incident. And Eastern was not able to get a lap time either. So yeah, we talked about skill level and things like that. Obviously, that's the kind of thing we don't want to see as a result. But luckily, this is only in qualifying, so we might be able to get away with it for now as drivers reset and start to get themselves together for the next set of laps. Jack Noah currently in pole position at 22.6, an extremely quick time. Harry Spears in the Bentley just 800ths behind. We're expecting these two to be very close, and does look like Jack Noah able to edge it for now. We'll see what happens in the future. As it does look like our feed is a little bit cut off. We'll see if we have that back soon. But yeah,
if that was a problem on just my end. I can see it coming back now.
Yeah,
we're still with Harry Spears, aren't we?
Yep, we are still with Harry Spears on his flying lap for now. Clear track ahead. We'll be trying to get that a couple extra hundredths to get that pole position. But I mean, it's been proven many times, especially here at Brands, that pole position doesn't really mean everything. If you can hold it off in the beginning, it'll help you a little bit, but it's a 90-minute race in the end, and that's going to mean that strategy is going to be a factor, and it's not really, it's not really going to be the end of the race if you don't get pole position.
Yeah, it was just showing 5 minutes left. Wait, how long was that? I'm getting a bit confused right now.
Just about 5 minutes left of quali right now.
But yeah, so we've got Harry Spears up on provisional pole with Nola coming up, and there's a couple of cars that are still in the pits. I was expecting to see them out on track beforehand, to be honest. But yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely, I think a lot of drivers seem to either be content with their laps or just looking to find that final gap and get onto their final set of laps. Obviously, Brands is a short circuit, so that means that once you do go out, you generally have time to do 2-3 laps without really using so much of your qualifying time. So a lot of drivers will eventually just go out for their final 2 laps at the end and try and get the best possible track condition as well. In third place right now, Jimmy Lin, doing quite decently. Obviously, we expect him to be near the top of the top of the midfield. At third place, I wouldn't say above expectations, but definitely a strong performance so far. We're seeing the McLarens do quite well. I think that's what we expected. But it is nice to see a little bit of variation as well. Like, for example, Shaw currently in fifth place in the Bentley.
Yeah, it's Bentley first and fifth, isn't it? So that kind of mid-engine dominance tail that we've been seeing happening quite a lot in ACC isn't so much there because, well, the long boy brick that is the Bentley, albeit not the longest one on the grid because that's the BMW, is almost unstoppable on what is going to be its closest to home turf. I think they'll get this season, and the same for
Yeah,
McLaren as well. To be fair,
yeah, no, definitely, and I think we've talked about how the Bob favors different cars in different places. I mean, Bentley isn't exactly weak here at brands. Obviously, the McLaren generally considered one of the stronger cars, as we see Shaw taking a little bit of a excursion there onto the grass, and thus return to pits straight after. But yeah, we are used to the British cars being strong on the British tracks, and that's something we will generally see. But it's especially true for the McLaren right here. That's obviously not to take anything away from the performances of our McLaren drivers. I mean, Jimmy Lynn, Anna Langston, Foster, Furuki, they're all strong drivers in the midfield. We're expecting them to be performing at this level. Um, but it is also very interesting to see all of them grouped up once again at near the top. So now heading into the final few minutes of qualifying, a couple still a time to do 2 laps for these cars on the road right now. Um, but Harry Spears on pole position, a 22.3, has managed to take that from Jack Noller. 2 tenths the difference there. So right now the 107 is a 128.09. So I believe that is every driver
no
except for
Wells
Lee
making it.
making it,
Oh,
and
Lee.
Ishan without a time right now. So that's going to be a scramble for those 2 cars to try and get that final lap in.
301 is currently on track right behind the two. And I think they have to make it this lap. I don't think they have time to make another as Harry Spears goes off at Hawthorne. I know they will have
Yeah,
time to make
so
another. What am I talking about?
that's Harry Spears' qualifying over, a 22.3. So Jack Noller now
Actually, it's
has the
close. I don't think they
opportunity.
will. Sorry.
Yeah, so Jack Noller now has the opportunity to get that pole position, and he's on his final lap as well. So we'll be watching him to see where he goes. Up and down the list, you might notice that Jason List also disappearing from the timing board. Had an internet issue. We'll be returning for the race, but because of that internet issue, we'll be starting from the back of the grid, I believe.
Lee's
Uh,
pulled off. Wells has gone in. He's hit the 107% by the looks of things, unless Noller has somehow managed to pull off a 120.
Yeah, so Ishan Wells able to get in, and does look like Lee will not be able to hit that threshold. So we'll see if he's able to start the race. So Jack Noah now coming through clearways onto the last corner. Let's see if he's able to take pole position from
hit the
Harry
top.
Spears. Nope, he's
What's
decided
Lynn
to
doing though?
box, and Jimmy Lynn, one of the last cars on the circuit for now, has third position, is able to improve his time, but not make it any further up the timing board. Faruqi now currently in fifth position. I believe he's the last car. Yeah, last car on the circuit right now on a lap.
Was Fletcher?
I believe Fletcher is already, or maybe not. Either way, Faruqi comes across the line.
It's not an
And
improvement. 3 tenths
nope.
down on his best. Yeah, here we
Yep.
go, Oliver Fletcher.
Where is Oliver Fletcher? Okay, so halfway through, must have crossed the line at the very end. So we'll see what he's able to do.
Right now, he's sitting P P14.
P14 comes across the final corner onto the
Bit of a
Brabham
twitch there.
straight.
There's a couple of twitches back and forth from that Lambo. Don't know if he improved. He did increase his position, but I think he might have gone a bit faster.
Yeah, he did go a little bit faster. Actually ends up being 15th in qualifying due to Jason List, but Jason List not being there at the end does mean he'll be starting from the back anyway. So no major surprises there in the qualifying, I think. Obviously, it being the first race of the season, it's still a little bit tentative. I don't think we've seen the best performances out of everyone yet, but yeah, it'll be very interesting to see what comes with the race. I mean, we're expected to seeing incidents here, and I think those might play a part in the first couple laps, especially.
Well, I can confirm that all drivers are able to continue into the race. So I presume that means that Lee has set time within the 107% in the pre-race practice session.
Yeah, that would make sense. So all drivers able to continue is always good to hear. Obviously, we don't want drivers to be slow enough to be unsafe, but we also want everyone to be able to compete. So it's great to hear that. Now, yeah, heading into the race, who would you say? What would you say drivers to watch?
Drivers to watch. Ooh, I think Shah. Third place last season. He switched over to the Bentley. I like the livery he's done with the Bentley. It's quite funny. Of course, showing his northern bias, all the northern counties are at the front of the car, all the southern ones are at the back. But he's one to look out for. He's gone back to the Lexus, haven't gone back to the. He's gone back to the Bentley, haven't been in the Lexus for a while. But at the same time, I'm looking forward to seeing what Cher and Unstead do in those Audis. We haven't seen representation for the Audi particularly much in the BUSR, or at least not for about, I think, a year. So he's going to be another one to watch out for. And of course, Jason List starting at the back. Yourself?
Yeah, I would say Isha definitely one of the drivers to watch. Another, I mean, he's been a community member for a long time, a motorsport engineering student as well. Gets involved in a lot of things, especially in the community as well. But speaking of getting involved things in motorsport sphere, if you want to get involved, BUSR is partnered with SimStaff, a talent staffing agency, and if you want to get involved in motorsports, esports, head over to simstaff.net/careers, and you might just get your start in motorsports as well. But we're about to head into the race. Just a couple minutes here. Yeah, I think brands. The first lap is important. And first corner is not exactly a wide corner. We've seen quite a few incidents there. What do you think? Safety first, or are we going to be seeing incidents here, Kev?
I mean, it's a marathon, not a sprint, but that doesn't mean somebody's going to do some magic into turn one.
I mean, yeah, magic.
I honestly don't know. On the one hand, I think a lot of people, especially up towards the front, are going to try and proceed with caution. But at the same time, there are a few people towards the midfield who will be looking to make the most of this start. Probably the widest bit of the track in terms of for action, down through Paddock Hill. And as we see a lot, the gravel becomes a racing surface.
That it does. Just about to now, or we've just started our formation lap. It's a rather, I wouldn't say chilly circuit, 19 degrees, quite comfy actually, I would say. But not necessarily the warmest brands we've ever seen. Tires probably going to be fine, I would say, in these temperatures. So we might be seeing a little bit of weaving, but not too much. What do I mean? Obviously, it's the first race of the season, so there's going to might be a lot of new fans potentially. So explain to us, Kev, what do drivers do on this formation lap?
So what they'll be doing is trying to get heat into the tyres. There is a very small optimum window that you find you are going to want to be in, but you're not going to get into them until about the first few laps of the race. So it's about getting as much into the tyres as you can with the small window that you have. The other thing is, you see that number 2 next to every driver's name. That's for the mandatory pit stops. In them, they only need to take fuel. In the past, we've seen drivers decide to just take fuel at the stops. You only need to take a litre, but you will probably want to fill up to the brim at some point over the course of this race. But you can save yourself some time by not taking tyres. That said, taking tyres for an hour and a half isn't exactly the best idea. You probably will blow one up towards the end of it if you do. These tyres will last about, I don't know, I'd say about an hour before they are entirely shot. Speaking from experience with the M4 in particular, or the Aston Martin, which surprisingly we aren't seeing any of today. But I think they're starting to go double file, Juuso.
Yeah, about to start. I think Harry Spears, Jack Noah, the front row. Bentley's notoriously good off the line, so I think we might be seeing Harry. Well, I think we'll be seeing a strong start from Harry, but Jack Noah on the outside. We'll see what he's able to do. Heading on to the straight, we'll start to see the cars go up to that static speed before the green flag.
And remember, the start line is roughly where the finish line is here, but at other tracks it can vary. We're just waiting to get to where it says Brands Hatch on that gantry. That's where we will be starting the race. But here we have it, 90 minutes. It's the Spring Championship. And we are go! It's been quite nice and luxurious up at the front. But, oh, we see Lynn getting loose. Faruqi and Parrot are very close together, but I think we've gotten through in one piece. Well, let's see what happens. We've got a couple more corners. Oh, there we have it. First incident of the season. A couple more incidents as well. Some banging doors. Sharon's been shuffled out into the gravel trap of Druids. What's going to happen as they run towards Graham Hill, though?
Yeah, so far so good. A little bit of contact from a couple cars, but everyone able to get away relatively clean, especially in the beginning. Faruqi off wide there. I think got a little bit onto the grass under braking, is going to lose out quite a few positions. Now almost going 3 wide. That's Cam Gold trying to get in between the cars. Now 2 wide into Hawthorne. Not usually a corner you want to be 2 wide, and we'll see who's able to come out in front. Cam Gold does take the white line, so that's mean he is able to get ahead there. A little bit of contact up ahead there as well. Just need to head towards Sheen as well. Josh Parrott right on the tail of Unstead, and I think we've actually seen a relatively clean first lap here at Brands, and if I sound surprised, that's because I am. This is
Don't worry,
very
lap 2's
rare.
coming up now.
That is very true.
This is the thing, every lap there's a chance for what Americans will call the big one, as we see Jason List already up, getting to the top 10. He's looking up the inside of Mushtaq, coming into Paddock Hill. This is fantastic stuff from the Durham driver. And he's side by side. Is he going to get the job done through Druids? He's up the inside. Mushtaq is still hanging it around the outside, though, as we get towards Graham Hill. And what's going to happen here? Oh! He's deep. They have some contact. List is shuffled back down. Who's making the most of that? That's Faruqi.
Yeah, Faruqi taking advantage of that, but some great side-by-side racing. And of course, in GT3, oh, Jason List again gets up the inside. Again, a little bit of contact. We have to talk about this a little bit. GT3 racing, a little bit of contact is acceptable. There's no fragile wings in play here, so that's all good. Again, trying to go side by side, and Mushtaq gets a little bit loose on the grass. Cam Gold able to take advantage of it as well. And yeah, Mushtaq losing a few positions there very quickly as he gets loose, and behind him, Romley also trying to perhaps take a look at it. So up in the lead, Harry Spears and Jack Noah, they were able to get away cleanly. No problems there, and now half a second is the gap between those two. And yeah, we saw last season Jack Noah do a lot of strategy calls to force the current leader into various different strategies, and I think this might become a factor here as well. So we'll see what happens in the future. Obviously, nothing in terms of pit stops just yet. I don't think we're really expecting that, especially as there wasn't really any contact or major contact in the first couple of laps.
I mean, the person who's probably on the recovery drive right now, if we can call it, is Cher, who's just coming out of Druid. He's gotten back past Lee there, as well as Fletcher getting past Lee. Because Fletcher's way down the order as well. And they're now setting their sights on O'Malley. But looking back at this battle, we've got Perrott and Shah following each other. Of course, you've got the Merc versus the Bentley here. Volkswagen Group versus, well, Mercedes, Daimler. And
Yeah,
that Bentley's getting a bit loose.
yeah, we've seen Josh be, well, basically right on Ish's tail this entire time. It's been very close, obviously.
Hang on.
Oh, that's
We
a
have
bit
a
of
final.
contact. So that's Faruqi. That's Cam Gold involved as well. List able to avoid that as well. I think that's
Lodge is caught up in
Romley.
it.
Yeah, so that's quite a couple cars involved, and yeah, I mean we got away with 2 laps. A third one, I guess, was too much to ask for
Third time
without
lucky or
major
third time
incidents.
unlucky, you so.
I mean, depends on who you ask in this case. As Josh paired up the inside of Druids and is able to make and stick the braking zone, as Isha not able to take that switchback. So that's 5th place for Josh Parrott, climbing up the order quite nicely, as taking advantage of some of the incidents that have happened.
Yeah, I mean, while Faruqi has joined in just behind the battle for, I believe it's 15th between Lee and O'Malley. And see if he's going to be able to make any charges up here. Lee's going wide. He's gone really wide. Faruqi's able to make 1 place back up. Umar has been in the BUSR now. I think this is his 3rd season of competing. Might be his 4th. But
I believe third. I believe
it's,
third.
It's really odd to see him this far down. He's had a few incidents in the past, most of which not of his own doing. But I don't think I've seen him shuffled down the order quite as poorly as he has been in this situation.
Yeah, obviously brands being a very short circuit means also that the differences in lap time start to really stack up very quickly. So if you're stuck
Fletcher's
behind a
off.
car, that's a little bit of grass there for Fletcher. Yeah, if you're stuck behind a slower car, for example, there O'Malley there, it can be very frustrating. But we're able to get through here now into the final corner as well. So, oh no, he's actually decided to pit. So that's probably to both repair the damage and to just get away from the traffic. So the first pit stop of the race of the season is actually going to be Faruqi. And yeah, we'll see where that puts him down the order. Obviously, it's going to put him a lap down, and that can be an extremely annoying
I don't know
position
if
to
it
be in.
will. It might not. If he's just taking damage repair, depends on how heavy the damage is. Remember, they only need to take a litre of fuel. It's 30 seconds if he takes tyres, and then the damage would be added on top of that. I'm presuming he's probably got about 20 seconds of damage, so I think he'll get out just ahead of Spears. There we see he's rolling again. But yeah, he runs the risk of... Wait, what's happened there?
That's Josh Parrott and Ish Shah. That contact between those two, I don't
Have
think
they been
they've lost.
redacted at Hawthorne Corner?
I'm sure,
Unstead's got
but
them through.
yeah, then I think they didn't lose too much by the looks of it.
But the
But
person who's
yeah,
making the most of this is now Jason List. Still on a charge up. You can see him probably in the background of your shot. He's been right behind Mushtaq now for the past lap and a half. And that Ferrari is going to be trying to make a move on the McLaren. Oh, he looks up the inside on the Brabham Straight. This is going to be risky. Is he going to try and make the move through Paddock Hill Bend? He thinks about it.
looks
He's alongside.
side
He's
by
drifting
side.
wide. Is he drifting wide? He's hit the curb. Oh, so nearly contact. Can he make the move through Druids? He's up the inside. He's clear.
Yeah,
And now
it's a good
Mushtaq
move.
is backed into gold. I think we've seen these two battle once already, haven't we? It seems like a almost mirror image with Ramley just behind.
Yeah, we saw a couple incidents. Obviously, shuffle these cars, well, shuffle them up the order or down the order again, and we'll see if we see that again. Cam Gold now looking at Mushtaq. Obviously, on the straight, these cars do have slight differences, but now in the tow, Cam Gold might be able to get alongside. The straight, not exactly a long one, Pilgrim's Drop, but yeah, not able to get close enough, and that does mean the best overtaking opportunity on the circuit has gone by now. So
O'Malley's got a drive-through.
yeah,
Let me see what that's for. That's for an incident involving 94, 549, and 76. So that's involving Cher, Lodge, and O'Malley. So
Yeah, so that
that,
would have
I'm
been the
presuming, is
incident we saw in the
a
beginning.
Druids. But
So
how did he... I'm just astounded that the BMW ended up there. Because Cher was right up towards the front, and so was Lodge. So
yeah,
I need to see what's caused that kind of domino effect that's led to O'Malley getting slapped with the first penalty of the season.
yeah, we'll have to see what happened there later on. We'll probably see that on the highlights as well. Yeah, it's gonna be this battle. I think is gonna be a very interesting one. There's a couple cars out of position, but also Mustang not exactly a not I wouldn't say a slow car, but probably not the fastest out of this pack. Which means he's able to hold up this train a little bit, and it's going to affect the likes of Cam Gold in the future of the race as well, because they're going to be wanting to they want to be up the order a little bit, and not able to get through right now means that challenge is going to be even more challenging.
Huh. This is odd. So O'Malley's just been in the pits. He did stop, but he either cleared his drive-through. Well, he's cleared his drive-through, but he either didn't get to do a stop or has somehow managed to do a stop and serve the DT. I mean, in the world of motorsport, we've heard of cars going through the pit lane, driving through it, and then acting as if they stopped in their boxes. I mean, Formula E fans would be traumatized by that notion. But right now, let's look at what's happening in these battles on track. We've got Fletcher at the back of Lodge. You've got Cher closing back up to this battle for what is now 9th in the tail end of the top 10.
Yeah, I think we're going to be seeing a lot of these very close battles here, with the cars being shuffled as a result of the
Cher's
incident.
just past Ramley, who went off the track at Graham Hill, and now he's got his sights set on the Lamborghini of Cameron Gold. These two cars basically the same underneath. One's Audi, one's Lamborghini, both a Volkswagen Group, powered by a V10 with the engine towards the back of them. So it is largely down to how the driver is feeling as to how the car is going to behave. I'm looking
Yeah, and
forward to this.
obviously both cars known to be a little bit unstable as well. So depending on their setups, it might be something to play a factor here as well. Brands is one of the tracks that you really need to be confident in. And speaking of unstable, their share getting a little bit loose off of Sheen, and that's going to cost a good half a second. So yeah, we were talking about Brands in terms of it being a very confidence-based track. There's a lot of corners on Brands where you really need to use all the curb. You need to use all of the track to maximize your speed, and that really does come down to confidence. And if you have a little bit of an unstable car, your setup is not necessarily perfect, maybe you didn't adapt to the track conditions, that can be a big factor. Side by side go Fletcher and Lodge into Paddock Hill, and it does look like Lodge is able to hold the inside so far.
Oh, what's happening here?
But
Oh, he's
Fletcher's
on the
switchback,
grills!
oh, that's a bit deep from Fletcher. Not able to hold that position as Lodge does stay ahead for now. A nice attempt from Fletcher, though.
He could have been a bit more aggressive there. He could have decided neither of us are making the corner, but he decided to be the gentleman, cut through it, and let Lodge back through. He probably could have ended up in the steward's office if he didn't, let's be honest. As we see Gold now on the back of Mushtaq, and Cher has closed right back up to this battle already. What was it you said? He lost half a second, roughly, last lap because of the...
Yeah,
because of
something
his
along
little
those
off.
lines. But I do think that Cam Gold right now not able to go at his full pace. I think Mushtaq is able to keep the car on the road at a good pace, and that's basically stopping all the cars behind from overtaking. He's not making any mistakes, which is all he needs to really do at this stage to hold that position. I mean, Brands is not the easiest track to overtake in. You really need to force the other car into a mistake, or have the other car being considerably slower. And Mushtaq not really making those mistakes, able to keep a good enough pace where Cam's is not able to get by. And it's yeah, it's I mean, it's keeping the current order running.
Meanwhile, Shah and Parrot are right up close to each other again, coming down to Hawthorne, where it looked like they had an incident earlier. So as we might be able to see more action happening into Hawthorne from a further backpack, let's see what's happening with these two. Well, they're keeping it civil right now.
Yeah, keeping it civil for now is always a good thing. Obviously, with having an incident earlier in the race, that means they might be trying to keep it a little bit more careful than usual.
Gold
Josh
looking at
Bird going
Mushtak.
just a bit wide, and here comes Cam Gold.
Oh, they're side by side.
Inside.
Are they going to keep it side by side through Dingledale? Well, they're trying. Cam's going to look up the inside of Sheen. Oh, that's a spectacular move.
Here
Cher
we go
follows through as well around the outside of Mushtak through Moss. And Cher's through as well. Mushtak losing 2 places now has Rowley in the BMW right up behind.
Yeah, and this is the kind of racing we want to see. This is side by side action, and at Brand sometimes that's what you need to do. You just need to force yourself alongside and running. But Mushtak's not gonna give up. He's gonna look around the outside of Paddock Hill. Not really able to do that though. Has the switchback though. Has the inside now coming into Druids onto the uphill braking zone. Will he be able to do it? On the inside, still hugging that curb, and side by side they go into Graham Hill again, still side by side, and that's Cher able to hold it for now. And yeah, good battles all around.
It's brilliant to see though. 15 minutes into the race, we still have all 18 of our runners. Long may that continue. And we've still got 3 close together there. There's also a couple of other battles heating up. In particular, there's a battle for. Well, there was a battle for 3rd place on between Lynn and Langston Foster, but it looks like Anna might have lost something as we see O'Malley is going slowly? Maybe he's just letting them all by. Oh!
The inside, Mushtak trying again, loses out a little bit, and that's Rumley onto the grass. I think a little bit of contact there as well. So that's Rumley losing out quite a bit from that. But yeah, Mushtak not giving up. Obviously lost a couple positions there to Cam Gold and Cher, and obviously wants to get those back and is aggressively looking at them. And that's Lodge off just before I think that was after Sheen. So I wonder what happened there.
Well, there's an incident that involved Lodge and Faruqi, which has been declared a racing incident.
Yeah, so this is lap 3.
So that's the one that happened, I think, there at Sheen. As we see Gold right on the back of... Les must have made a mistake.
Yeah, I think may have made a mistake. Cam Gold also instantly caught up and now up the inside already. And that's an easy overtake for Cam Gold. Jason List not seemingly wanting to fight that or making a mistake under braking. But that's Cam Gold, 2 positions in 2 laps. And, I mean, once he got past Mushtak, he's now started to climb up the order.
Looking at the minimap, though, I've just noticed the 17 and the 14's dots have gotten a lot closer together. Wonder if we could have a look at that in a moment. But, like, right now, I think the closest battle is that one that we were just seeing. But look at this. Shah is close right back up to Unstead. Did something happen to Unstead? I don't know. Shah's pitting.
Yeah, it does look like the first scheduled pit stop, or at least relatively scheduled pit stop there. So Shah on I believe that is lap 12. Yeah, so the first set of scheduled pit stops on lap 12. And yeah, this is going to be interesting to see what they decide to do. Obviously, it's a bit late or a bit early to take tires. You don't
Looks
really.
Looks like Ish is taking tires.
That's interesting. Whether
oh no, he's not. He's rolling again, I think.
Okay, yeah, that sounds about right.
He must have had quite a bit of damage because he was stopped for a good 10, 15 seconds. Same for List.
We'll have to remember both had Ish had an incident with Josh earlier, as well as List having a similar incident.
Which Josh has gotten a penalty for by the looks of things.
Oh, so 15 seconds. Yeah, and now Cher right on the tail of Cam Gold. Around Hawthorns they go, and Cher able to still stay alongside. more alongside it, getting on the grass, both cars, as they go towards Sheen now. A
Through
dangerous corner to
Tinkeldell.
be side by side now. Cam Gold. Oh, contact!
There we go.
And that's Cam Gold around quite hard into the sandpit. Sharon does go on his way. Cam Gold able to recover relatively quickly. Does lose out about 10 or so seconds. And that, I'm sure, will be investigated by the stewards as well. And that is the risk you run in these kind of close racing situations. Small mistake like that, and one of the cars is off.
Well, I'm
And
going to say,
unfortunately, Cam Gold suffering for it.
well, I'm going to say Cam did nothing wrong there.
Yeah, unfortunately,
It might be
yeah,
a racing incident, but I don't see the blame going the way of the 33 in that incident. I don't think the 33 went to brake check another car. As what's happened here? He's into the wall and through it. He needs to pit now. He needs to pit now.
Yeah, obviously something either just car getting unstable or just forgetting the corner exists or something there, as Cam Gold making another mistake there. Yeah, he's probably looking to box. I don't think he's quite meatball, but he's looking to box. So we'll see if he's able to. Roundley's gone in past Mushtag as well. Obviously now with the pit stops having started, currently in 7th and 8th place respectively. With Ish and List having done their first pit stops. Fruki has also at some
Fruki pitted
jumped.
early.
Yeah, he's jumped List though as a result of the pit stops as well.
He must have had less damage. He also was running in clean air for a lot of this. He's just overtaking Lee right now by the looks of things as they go down the Pilgrim's Trough.
And Josh Parrott in the pits very quickly also now. Will have to serve his penalty at the pit stop as well. So his pit stop is going to be slightly long.
He doesn't have to. You can turn him off now, I believe. But it's best if you do.
Yeah, either way, that's not... I'm slightly unsure on the mechanics. I do believe you still have to serve a time penalty. You can turn off a stop and go, though. However, either way, will most likely and has served the penalty as the penalty has been removed from the timing board. So that is a long pit stop for Parrott there. Shaw quickly climbing up, getting quite close to Lodge as well. So a little bit of shuffling down the order, but I think a key thing to look at here, though, is Harry Spears only a couple of seconds back from Shaw currently, and that can be a very frustrating thing if you get lapped this early, even as a result of pit stops. So Josh Parrott now running.
Oh no!
That's unfortunate. That's very unfortunate. So for anyone unfamiliar, that shiny SG30 there next to Josh Parrott's name is shorthand for a stop go 30, as we see Lodge taking an adventure on the grass.
Got oversteer.
Yeah, stop go 30, which means Josh has to pull the car into the pits, stop at his pit box, wait 30 seconds with no action being done to the car, and then move and then run from the pits, and that will serve his penalty. So he has to effectively take an extra pit stop without anything being done to the car, and that is a result of speeding in the pit lane. And yeah, that's a very, very unfortunate situation for Parrott.
So Gold has just served a first pit stop there. I'm presuming that was damage repair, because it doesn't look like it was long enough to take tyres. So his tyres must have been okay, despite two quite fast incidents in quick succession. It's put him out, what? Has it put him out behind O'Malley, or is he a lap up on O'Malley? I can't. I think he's a lap up on O'Malley.
Slightly unsure. Here we see Harry Spears now lapping Ish Shaw. So already lapping the first of the pit. Well, the cars that have already pitted. We do see Parrott now serving that stop go 30 right away. Lodge also in the pits after that excursion in the grass earlier on. So Jason List, the next car to be lapped here, going through clearways. Obviously, if you're new to GT3 racing, lapped cars don't have to dive out of the way or anything the likes of that. Blue flags are advisory. However, you may not defend against an overtaking lapping car. So cars are allowed to just follow their racing line and avoid losing as much time as possible. It is the responsibility of the lapping car to overtake and make that move. So if you see cars kind of standing by, not really ducking out of the way because of blue flags, that is why. And we have seen it is possible that, sometimes when behaving slightly unpredictably or maybe too aggressively, we have seen incidents as a result as well. But we have to remember it is always the responsibility of the lapping car to make that safe. Well, it's the responsibility of both cars to make a safe overtake, but it is responsibility of the lapping car to initiate that overtake.
Cher's got a 15-second time penalty. I'm presuming that's for the incident with Cam. Yes, it is.
Yeah, so
Well, I say Cam did nothing wrong.
Yeah, so Cher will have to serve that penalty on his next pit stop, and that will put him back a little bit. Obviously, Cam Gold had the other incident as well, so won't really gain much from it.
Cher's
We have
serving it
seen
immediately, I think. Yeah, he's pulling off into the pits.
Yeah, we have seen Mushtaq now also able to get back past Romley, but here we go. Shaw, I believe he's trying to overtake. That is that's Ishan Wells side by side through Paddock Hill and into Druids. They go still side by side. Ishan Wells has the inside line. Ooh, goes a little bit wide, but they're able to get through just fine. No major contact there. Now Shaw has the inside line going into...
That's a tap.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a tap, but able to get through, and that's an overtake for Shaw. Having taken the first pit stop, this is one of the things you have to do. You have to clear some of the slower cars that you may have let past because of the pit stop.
How has he ended up nearly a lap up on the list? It looks like he has. Isn't that the 995 right ahead of him?
Yeah, it does look like something along the lines. Yeah, I'm a little bit unsure. Yeah,
List lose a lap. Oh, hang on. 24's off.
Yeah, 24 off at Hawthorne. So that's Josh.
And he's left the server.
Yeah, so the first retirement of the race there. So obviously had an incident there, probably on cold tires coming back from the pits as well. And that is a first retirement of the race of the season. So Josh Parrott out for now. Well, not for now. He's out. So he'll be back for the next race of the season. This is an interesting battle to follow. Mushtaq and Ramley. Obviously, they've swapped around positions a couple of times. Some as a result of an incident, some just pure racing. And Mushtaq currently in 6th place, doing quite well.
Yeah. I think there are a lot of drives that we could start to consider for drives of the day already, and I think Ramley and Mushtaq are definitely up there as 2 of them. I think Unstead would be another one for me. Solid start to the season. Jimmy Lin would be another one in the 727. I mean, we've seen this kind of pace from him before, but it's nice to see that kind of pace again. And I need to see what's going on with Jason List. I honestly don't know what's gone on there to cause him to drop so far back.
Yeah, I'm sure there, but I'm sure we'll get information fed to us eventually, potentially by our production crew. Yeah, this battle is gonna keep heating up as well. I think Ramley really looking to get by, use the advantages of the car. So Mushtaq defending. Yeah, that's a little bit, but Ramley actually still able to make use of it.
That was very nearly contact.
Yes, side by side they go, and yeah, that's I wouldn't say dirty, but very hard racing there from Mushtaq. Now up the inside goes Ramley, and ooh, that's Mushtaq onto the grass. We saw a couple McLarens do this, end up on the outside. There's Harry Spears about to lap all of them as well. Yeah, able to get through just fine. Verstappen spotting that well in advance.
Verstappen probably traumatized from incidents he's had in the past over at Hawthorne Bend. So just wants to jump out the way of any kind of incident to avoid what he described as being turned into a fidget spinner.
Yeah, that is a rather common experience at Hawthorne in the BUSR, unfortunately. So we're
As we see
heading,
Fletcher. Yeah.
yeah, we were heading into now this middle point of the race. So we generally talk about it's a 90-minute race, which means strategy does play a big part. But this middle part of the race is where really all of it starts to, all the decisions start to come in. We're seeing a lot of drivers still yet to pit, but in some of the midfield already having pitted. And usually now in is when we start to see like the first pit stops. Obviously, we had a couple early ones today, but this is about the time when the first set of tires starts to maybe you start to feel the wear. You're already settled in your rhythm, everything's going well, and you're comfortable, and that's the kind of situation you really want to be in. If you have a comfortable pace, especially someone like Harry Spears right now, very comfortable in the lead. But if you also want to be extremely comfortable by sim racing, what I can do is I can recommend you SimHound, right? Sim racing gloves. You can get them from SimHound as well, and you can use the code BUSR10 for 10% off as well. I can highly recommend them. I use them as well. I know there's a lot of people in the BUSR that do use them. I don't think Ishan Wells is one of them, but he could have made that overtake stick if he did use BUSR10 from SimHound.
And he probably wouldn't be doing this either. Wells off into the gravel, but that's Shah! Oh no, it's terror for the Bentleys over at Sheen. I wonder if something could happen to our race leader later in the race. So that's now 2 out of 3 KO'd there. Both of them on the same lap. Well, yeah, same lap.
Oh. Yeah, I think, well, Bentleys. Yeah,
I think as we've been talking about pit windows before we were talking about our partners over at SimHound. You were talking about pit windows. The reason why so many of these people have bit the bullet and pitted early. So we were talking at the start of the race. They have 2 stops. All they need to do is take fuel in these. What the traditional step is one of them is a regular stop. That happens. That will start around now. And that window will end around half an hour from now. So that middle third of the race is where those regular stops where people change tyres will come in. Because that's where you make the most out of that crossover between tyres wearing out and having fresh rubber. Because your tyres properly die at around the halfway point of the race. Well, usually. So what they'll do with the other stop is that will be a splash and dash at the end, or, in the case of people who've already pitted, to repair damage that you obtain through instance either of your own doing or of somebody else's. As I see, Shah has gone wide again at Sheen this lap, but we are looking at Nola right now, who's coming up to lap Mushtaq. Got a couple of McLaren running quite close together at the moment. Well, those of in order on track, as we see Bramley off there at a distance haven't gone wide of Paddock Hill. Yeah, second, third, and fourth for Nola, Lynn, and Langston Foster.
Okay, so just to get some information on Jason List, we do know that he was apparently, as we get into this battle once again, Shaw now able to get past Asian Wells at Druids. A much cleaner overtake this time.
He was ahead at the start line. He drifted through Paddock Hill, though. It was quite impressive, and that's the reason why Wells is closed back up.
Gotcha. All right. Well, yeah. Anyway, going from other off-screen information. So Jason List apparently was stuck in the pit lane for unknown reasons. Even race control is unsure of this. So he was in the pit lane for about a minute, and that is why he's so far back and almost a couple laps down.
He must have taken tires when he repaired the damage.
Yeah, could be.
That's the reason why he would be stopped for a minute. Unless you
Yeah.
had that much damage, and it didn't look like that much damage.
So someone we hadn't talked about a lot there, just was on camera for a moment there. Anna Langston Foster, quietly a very good performance, currently in 4th place, and I think we were kind of expecting a good performance. Obviously, Anna was very unlucky in the last season. Had a lot of pace, but wasn't able to really get a good performance in. And now, assuming no problems, currently holding that 4th place, and I think is going to be happy with that performance.
You know, I was talking to her before the race. She was really unhappy with how she was feeling for today's race. I know Anna is probably one of the harshest drivers on themselves in BUSR. As we see
Ooh,
Faruqi around at Graham Hill. Wonder what caused that. But going back to talk about Langsdale Foster, she's... If you had have told her that she was racing for 4th, if you told her that last week, she'd be a bit annoyed. But if you told her that about an hour ago, she'd be very happy with it. The way that the world works, hey? As we see, oh, Fletcher's gone wide. Charles looking around the outside.
Ooh.
Close.
And I mean, we're seeing this side by side racing all the time. It's really awesome to see here, Brands. But yeah, I mean, going back to Anna, yeah, like we've talked about confidence again and again, and something that requires a lot of confidence is going around the outside at Paddock Hill. Is Shaw is
I
able
think
to
they
stay
tapped.
there, a little bit of contact, but side by side still, and into Druids. We've seen this so many times. 2 cars side by side through Paddock Hill and then into Druids, but Fletcher able to keep keep the position for now. Obviously, still owing an extra
Wide.
pit stop, as that's very wide from Fletcher. Perhaps even gaining a small advantage there. Um, and if you're again, if you're
Oh,
unfamiliar,
here we go. He's gone wide
oh
again. Charles getting
yeah,
a run, and he's going to be clear before. He's clear before Hawthorne.
yeah, that's an overtake done, a mistake from Fletcher. But yeah, if you're unfamiliar with the game and how it enforces track limits and how track limits in general are enforced, generally speaking, a driver is allowed 3 warnings for track limits. So this means if you go off the track and gain an advantage, the game will warn you. And you get 3 warnings, and on the 4th one, you get a drive-through penalty. This is automatically enforced by the simulation. However, if it is spotted, for example, that someone is constantly abusing track limits, when the when the simulations enforcement is not working, for example, in certain conditions, and it is spotted that someone is consistently abusing them, race control will intervene and give a penalty manually. And we've seen this happen in other series, not so much in the BSR, as Ishan Wells there hops onto the stand there and allows, I believe that is Lodge through. Um,
So I've just noticed something, Juuso. We saw Shah get ahead of
or
Langsdale Foster in the pit stop phase. Anna hasn't repaired damage that she sustained to the front of the car.
Yeah, obviously, I mean, she was running quite consistently up in 4th place, and obviously feels that the damage just isn't affecting her enough. And I mean, a lot of the time, front end damage, aside from inducing understeer, what it'll do is it'll affect your top speed. But top speed is not really something that is needed here at Brands. So obviously, if that understeer is not enough to affect lap times, or not enough to be worth repairing, then obviously the choice to not repair is the better one. And I think that's what we might be seeing here today.
It could well be. All I know is that it also affects front tyre wear. So drivers will be feeling that, though I don't think they'll be feeling it as much today, because an update came out today which is also affecting the tyre wear, addressing a weird setup, so-called glitch, the use of camber and tow, though I've been reliably informed by Mclaren drivers that if anything it's buffed the 720S, especially relative to its rivals.
Yeah, no, it's definitely something that has been on the radar for anyone, well, any competitive person in ACC. Yeah, there's always, obviously, when you have a physics simulation, so there's a little quirks and people will find them. So that has been patched today to some degree. So obviously it'll be a little bit before the full extent of the patch and its effects will be known for the wider community. Has only been out for a few hours at this point, so we'll maybe be talking about that in the next race, as we know a bit of the impact is a little bit wide. There goes Anna, able to get through just fine. So in the lead, Harry Spears, 13 seconds the gap between himself and Jack Noller, and at this stage, quite a healthy lead for the pair of them, and it does look like no real no real trouble at the front for either.
Well, Shaw's in. That's going to be the full pit stop now, of tyres and everything. And I think that was a difference between Shah and Langston Foster. So as much as I was saying, oh, it looks like Shah's gotten through, you have to remember he didn't take tyres in his first stop. So this is going to be the tyres stop. So 50-40. These tyres are going to have to go to the end.
Yeah, and obviously we talked about in the beginning. These tires generally they'll run 40-ish minutes before they start to wear to the point where you notice it. Obviously, some drivers are more gentle with the tires. Some push them a little bit harder. So there's differences there. But these tires will always last at least an hour, 20 minutes, obviously depending on the track a little bit. They'll last and they'll be fine, but you will start to feel them at the latest around the 50-minute mark. Um, and at that point is when the car starts to understeer. You'll have to fight it a little bit more. You want to find that grip that you used to have. So having the tires and running them for 50 minutes in a 90-minute race where you're most likely going to switch them anyway is a bit of a strategy call. Obviously, you can do it as a result of traffic, etc., or damage. But generally speaking, most drivers will try to run the tires for 45 to 40, well, 45 minutes max. So yeah, it's an interesting to see a bit of an earlier pit stop.
It's interesting to see those stops cleared so early as well, as we see O'Malley's in the pits now, I presume, to repair. Well, not to repair, but to change the tyres. I didn't think he had any other contact in this stint, as we see instead pushing the limits. I see it says UOP/no limits sim racing, but I think he's starting to find them. I don't know, that might just be me though.
Yeah, and obviously, speaking of pushing all the limits as well, something that the drivers will probably be fighting for is pushing those limits and on getting the fastest laps, taking the cars to the limits. So in this series, in our GT3 Championship, the fastest lap will be rewarded by Simhound as well. So going for that Simhound fastest lap right now, Harry Spears in a firm lead, but especially towards the end of the race, I think that's something that will be on the eyes of a lot of these drivers, and I think we'll be getting back to that later on as Faruqi gets past Ishan Wells, or doesn't get past Ishan Wells, goes wide, and Ishan Wells has to run down clearways and has built quite a gap after that mistake, actually.
I think it's worth pointing out though, you can't just take the Indy loop. You won't get the Simhound fastest lap for just taking the Indy loop.
Unfortunately, not.
There's a checkpoint just after Hawthorne that you kind of need to hit to be able to count a full lap.
So that will be something that we'll be watching or keeping a close eye on throughout the race. Just to look at it right now, currently we're looking at the fastest lap of the race being held by Harry Spears at a 22.8. And in second place, Jack Noller with a 23.1. So 3 tenths to find if Jack Noller wants to take that off of Harry Spears. And we'll be looking at that throughout the race, and we'll see who takes this amount fastest lap of the race. Now back to this battle for rookie Ishan Wells. Rookie closing the gap very, very quickly. Ishan Wells still yet to pit, so we'll be on a bit of older tires, heavier tires. Through Sheen they go. Faruqi has a look, but takes the safe option, and who can blame him there?
Yeah, nobody can blame him. At the end of the day, Faruqi's stopped once, and he's already had a couple of incidents. Wells hasn't stopped yet. So just sit behind that Bentley, or, you know, take your second stop. Why don't you? I was just going to talk about them going on for another lap, but I guess they're not.
Yeah, and we see Ramley also in the pits as well. So we did see also, I don't know if you mentioned, Jack Noller did pit.
I hadn't,
so
I was about to though.
Yeah, he had his first pit stop earlier. It was a short one, I believe. Let me confirm that for you.
It looked to be short because he's come out back ahead of Unstead.
Yeah, so that was a short pit stop from Noller, which means that yeah, the strategy call basically has not been made yet. Whether that will be something that forces Harry Spears to react, we'll see. Obviously, he hasn't reacted yet though, and it's been 2 laps now, so obviously not something he's too worried about.
I think the way these two are seeing it is, it's not just about the prizing; it's about the bragging rights. In terms of other performances, I think Langston Foster and Lynn are definitely playing a more strategic game. But I don't know whether Noller or Harry are even going to take tyres in the stop around this time. I think they might wait until the very end. I see Lynn is now pulling into the pits. So, could we be about to see something happen there?
Yeah, maybe. And speaking of Unstead had a quite of a long pit stop, 38 seconds, so some damage repaired as well. So we'll see if that starts to affect. That does mean...
here we have it. Oh. Harry's pulling in.
Oh, there we go. So Harry, we'll see what he decides to do. Yeah, no, speaking of Unstead's pit stop, that does mean Anna Langston Foster just taking back her position. And this one will be slightly critical. So, oh, that's Romley. I believe may have been in the wall there as well.
That front end is sticking up on the M4
So that'll
GT3.
be a quick second pit stop for... No. Oh, no, it does decide to go into the pits. Bit of a strange line there. Oh, so there's definitely some damage for Romley. And that's going to be unfortunate. It does look like Harry Spears might be taking tires. Time stopped is approaching 30 seconds. Yeah.
Noller must have as well.
Harry Spears still in the box. This is approaching almost 40 seconds time stopped right now. I'm not sure what's going on there. Yeah, 40 seconds stop.
Either had some damage repair, or he's decided to look for a window to go for an even fastest lap.
Yeah, unsure, but he is able to get out ahead of Jack Noller. Still has maintained that gap. So I think Jack Noller did take tires on that first pit stop. Then obviously, just looking at that gap, just didn't catch it. So sorry about that. But yeah, for a 40-second pit stop, and yeah, I wonder if that was damage repair or what it was. But I guess with both cars now having new tires, they'll be running those tires to the end, and a last strategic pit stop, probably in the last 10 minutes if the trend from last season is to be followed.
Yeah. Just want to remind everybody while we're here, you can follow us at BUSR Official on Twitter. You can follow us the same on Twitch or Instagram, and you can join us at busr.gg/Discord, where you can join in. Not necessarily the fun for this season, our sign-ups have already closed, but you can definitely join in some of our casual series, such as the Global Excursion that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, Global Excursion, one of the most fun events in the BUSR. Always fun. no one taking it too seriously. So if you want to join in, any level is welcome. Just head over to bsr.gg/discord and join the fun. And yeah, you'll be able to find all of us there racing as well. Usually in very strange cars, especially if your name is Cav.
I wouldn't have said the McLaren 650S was strange. The only problem is that I'm not allowed to run in a Maserati GT4 car.
Well,
if I could, I would.
yeah, with good reason, but at least it's not a Porsche Cup car. We have traumatized. We've been traumatized by those. Speaking of cars and a selection of them,
There's no Porsches here.
yeah, no Porsches here. I that's the thing I wanted to point out. Uh, we're actually used to seeing a couple of those, but obviously with the new patch 1.8 released into ACC some months ago now, it's fallen a little bit out of favor. And in its place, the McLaren, still popular as Ferrucci, I think a
So
little bit
Ferrucci was
unsettled there.
battling. Ferrucci was battling with Cher for being lapped by Lynn. Of course, all those three were right together at the start, but a myriad of different reasons are no longer together on track.
Yeah, a little bit of a strange event there. Um, I mean, Ferrucci does seem to have the extra pace, so he'll probably be catching up very quickly, though. So, yeah, a little bit unfortunate there. Oh, that's Romley off, and luckily off the racing line, able to get back, has to turn the
Kick the
car
clutch.
around. Yeah, there you go. Able to rejoin in quite a nice of a gap. And I think that's another incident we're used to seeing through Sheen. Uh, we're used to seeing Sheen being extremely dangerous. You take too much grass on, especially on the exit, or your car might bounce around a little bit. Again, another incident near there. Actually, no, this was at Sterling actually, but yeah, um, yeah, it's taking a little bit too much grass, and the car goes.
Yeah. I've just been having a look. I think we've already got one Porsche registered for this season, which is very weird. I'm
Yeah,
just looking through all
it's a
the other
strange
cars
one.
as well. Like the resurgence that we're seeing of the Audi is stuff that's pretty cool, but also incredibly rare. Only got a couple of Mercs, which is also pretty odd. I think we've only got the one Lexus this season, which has usually been a bit of a fan favorite.
Yeah, obviously we're seeing the meta involved. We're seeing a lot of preference coming in from drivers. I mean, for example, Jason List, currently the only Ferrari, has always been in a Ferrari, and we have some drivers are like that, where they have chosen their one car, and that's the one we're used to seeing them on. Fletcher is another one, always in Lamborghini. Unfortunately, the ones I'm naming are currently all at the bottom of the field, but
I mean, I'm
um,
usually wanting a V12, but this year I've decided I wanted to try the BMW, see how that feels.
yeah, so like we
Oh, the bollard's
long
gone.
oh yeah, that bollard has gone into space. And oh, Mustek really not happy
This
with
is
the
for
car at the
position.
moment. Yeah, so making a lot of small little mistakes, has to correct. And yeah, this is gonna be Shaw trying to get that sixth place. Obviously, Mustek owing a bunch of owing a pit stop as well. Is Shaw currently the top driver with no pit stops left to serve? And side by side they go through Pilgrim's Drop.
Shah's just getting an absolutely monumental run. Or it must be that the people he's racing against really aren't getting the runs. He did the same on Cam Gold earlier in the race. He's just done the same to Mustak this time around.
Yeah, I mean we're used to seeing the Bentley be quick on straight line, but actually, like currently the speed trap. Well, there goes Shaw again, and has to uh, has to give way on the rejoins, and Wistak takes that position right back. Yeah, talking about the straight line speed. I mean, you usually were. I mean, we're used to the Bentley being considered.
What's
Oh,
happening here?
something is happening with Shaw. I think like either tires or something very wrong right now. Shaw not able to get comfortable with the car.
Bramley is,
Um,
yeah, served another pit stop, though. I think that's, what, third stop of the race?
yeah.
This is going to be
Anyway, trying
terrible
to
for
make my
Shah.
point for the third time. Um, the the speed trap times currently at the top is actually Faruqi at 241 kilometers per hour. It's a couple kilometers faster than well any other car really. And the McLaren's actually top speed. Obviously, it's not the biggest thing here at Brands, but it is interesting to see McLaren not really known for its top end
Where's the
speed.
speed trap?
I believe it is at the end of Pilgrim's Drop around here.
Okay. I was going to say, if it was at the end of the Ravenous Straight going into Paddock Hill, we've seen Faruqi off a couple of times there, so maybe he was trying to go for some speed trap award that I don't believe exists.
Maybe, but it is very interesting to see, and I think the setup differences there might also be a factor. Um, yeah, I think unfortunately both BMWs in the race today have been involved in quite a few incidents, so they're running at the bottom at the moment. Obviously, a new car to the series with a lot of fanfare entering the entering ACCS.
Oh!
Oh, that is Anna Langston Foster off at Sheen, and that's I mean still she has
She's
a
got a
pit
stop in
stop.
hand, so
Yeah,
stop
she
right
does have
now.
a. She didn't actually end up losing that much time by the looks of it, but obviously that damage would affect her and does choose to take another lap. So we'll see what happens there.
I mean, she didn't
Um,
take damage repair at the first stop, so I highly doubt that she's going to take it at a second stop, even though she's had another big incident. By the
yeah,
looks
we'll
of
see.
things.
I think this is the scouting lap, so we'll have to see what happens there. But a big incident at Sheen, and we've seen this so many times this race. Sheen has become so deadly here at the BUSR. It's if you're driving alongside another car, you don't want to be around Hawthorne. But if you do, if you're if you're just driving, you're just chill, you're too comfortable, and Sheen is scary.
I'm going to wait to see, but it looks like that gap between Shah and Mushtaq has increased again. It looked like Shah was going quite slowly around Hawthorne as we currently ride with the Audi of Unstead. I really like seeing Audis back in this. Like, we've
Yeah,
had
it's been a while.
Lamborghinis, but having the Audis as well is pretty cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
Shah's got off again. He's lost another 3 seconds to Mushtaq that lap as Mushtaq has very nearly set a PB for the race.
yes, I wonder what's going on. Something not comfortable with the car or something. But yeah, no, we haven't actually talked too much about this upper midfield right now as Jimmy Lynn, Anna Langston Foster, Jake Armstead, just they're all just kind of driving with static gaps at the moment without any there's no battles going on, and I think that's not necessarily something we're used to seeing at the upper midfield. Usually that's the place where we see a lot of battles going on, but right now it does look like they've been able to drive mostly cleanly, mostly on pace, and as a result there's just clear gaps between them. Obviously with Anna Langston Foster having that incident earlier
Oh,
does
hang
mean
on,
that
Wells is off.
there might be something there as yeah, Wells is off at Surtees. Is able to rejoin, and I
He was
wonder
off
if that's a sort of
sideways.
yeah, that doesn't happen naturally, so I wonder if there's a bit of contact there. Because I don't see why a car would be sideways at that part of the corner if there hasn't been contact. So I guess we'll see that in the we'll see if that is something the stewards uh, will um, will take notice of later on.
Yeah, meanwhile, Lodge has had a very quiet race, hasn't he? Number 76, currently running P12. Uh, Next car will be Wells. But we've got a lot more cars now. Oh, as we see, that's O'Malley off into a wall.
Yeah, able to get back.
He's had a couple of instances by the looks of things. Look, running in a 134 last lap, as we see Lodge now diving into the pits.
Yeah, we're starting to approach the last half hour of the race. So that does mean that a lot of these drivers starting to head for their last final pit stops. Depending on fuel, if some drivers didn't take tires in their first pit stops, this would be the time that they would start to come in and take tires. If they are going to take tires for the entire race, that is. Uh, Another thing to
Unintended.
notice is that currently the track is 4 degrees warmer than it was in the beginning of the race as well. So that's going to play a factor into any tire choice that they do decide to make if they haven't done that yet.
Someone we do think has, though, is this leader here, Harry Spears, currently holding on to the Simhound Fastest Lap Award. Has he improved since we last saw? Well, we'll see what he's going to do with this lap, and then we can give you a clearer picture.
Currently, a 22.6 is his fastest lap.
So he has improved.
Yeah,
22.8 before the pit stops.
Yeah, so he has improved on the fresh tires, and last lap being a 23.1, is lapping quite considerably faster than Jack Noller, who's, strangely enough, or coincidentally, Jack Noller's last lap, a 23.18, was identical. Jack Noller's fastest lap, 23.18, was identical to Harry Spears' last lap, which was also a 23.18. So roughly similar in their peak pace right now, but Noller lapping a good half a second slower. And yeah, I think unless Harry Spears makes a mistake, gets too many warnings, or gets involved in the incident, I don't really see Jack Noller able to fight for it, as Lodge off at Hawthorne on the inside. And I wonder if that is just a mistake of taking too much curb. Didn't think there was another car involved there.
It looked like it. It looked like he'd overdriven, got the back step out, and ended up in the wall.
Yeah, and we've talked about previously some of these characteristics of these different cars, and McLaren generally considered a very stable car, if not even understeery at high speeds. But when you come into the mid-speed corners, which there are quite a lot of at brands, it can be relatively unstable as well, and that's something where you have to do a lot of setup work to really be comfortable with the car, especially taking curbs and cutting the track a little bit, or to the cutting the track to the limits. Obviously, you don't want to go past them unless you want to get a drive through. So that is something I think a lot of drivers have been caught out by, especially at Sheen, as has been shown.
Something I've just noticed, Juuso. Have you seen where Harry Spears is on track?
Looks to be.
He's going into Moss.
Yeah.
Have you seen what that car in front of him is?
That's Jimmy Lynn. So
he's coming up to lap him.
Yeah.
And Noller's just lapped Anna Langston Foster.
Well,
these two are on another level, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean we've. It's a short track. This is not completely unfamiliar territory for the BUSR. Obviously, last season we had very similar things happen with Jack Noller and Angus Fender as well, where they would lap effectively the entire field. I don't think we're used to seeing it this quickly, although I do believe Brands is also the shortest lap we've had in the BUSR over the last couple seasons. Correct me if I'm wrong there.
I think it's the shortest lap in terms of time that you can have in ACC, isn't it?
Yeah, I might
At a sub 130, because I'm just thinking, what other tracks are there that are sub 130 in a GT3?
I can't really. No, Donington's 140 something.
Donny's 140s. Yeah, I think this is the shortest track.
Yeah, I think the closest one is Misano at like low 130s.
Yeah,
So yeah,
32.
yeah. So yeah, it does also mean the short track. What it means is that the fastest drivers will be able to lap the not fastest drivers quicker. And yeah, I mean, these guys showing once again why they are at the top of the game, why they are, well, world class, at some of the best in the world. And it's on display here. And that's something you can really see in the BUSR. And one of the beauty of the series is that you really do see the absolute top of the world, top skill level racing amongst the amongst the commoners like us. Um,
So
and
speaking of racing,
yeah,
I've just noticed we're looking at this battle with
ooh,
Lodge and Gold, which isn't for position, but what is just ahead of Gold is Mushtaq for P9.
yeah, and
Mushtaq just done his final stop.
yeah, and I think yeah,
Oh,
Lodge,
hang on, that
yeah, that
was for
was
position though.
yeah, Lee was for position. So I think what happened there is Lodge slowed down on the straight, lifted on the straight, to let Cam Gold by, which in turn also let Lodge through as well. So a little bit of a mistake, intentional or not, from Lee, does mean he's back down to 15th position. Uh, but now Cam Gold, this battle now not for position. So Lodge is allowed to unlap himself. I think Cam is actually defending slightly. So we'll see what happens here. Lodge not necessarily. Lodge is a quicker driver than his current position uh, implies. So
He just had incidents this race. It's a good thing
yeah,
for a lot of people, as I see shares coming into the pits. I think he just tagged the wall on pit entry though,
that's
which is going to
unfortunate.
drop him again. Somebody who is quick now being dropped behind Gold and Mushtaq. Not saying
And
they're
it
not quick. What I'm
it
saying
does
is
look
a
as
lot of
if
quicker people have had a lot of incidents.
it does look as if Cam Gold is actually defending against Lodge, and that's you always talk about whether that's the smart choice to make. Obviously, Cam Gold does not need to let Lodge by. They are on separate laps, and actually Cam Gold being a lap ahead in this case. Lodge obviously allowed to unlap himself, but Cam is losing time defending against Lodge.
Well, we'll see what
Um,
the laps say at the end of this one. Uh, Cam was 500ths faster on the last lap, but I have a feeling the Lodge will be the faster of the two of them this time by.
yeah, it's we'll have to see. I think yeah, I don't really see it being a smart choice to defend here. Obviously, I get where Cam want what he wants to do. He wants to stay close to Bushsack. He wants to stay close and be able to make a move as soon as he catches up. But in this case, I think he's actually just straight up losing time, and we'll see. Of course, it's not an easy track to overtake on in general, but now Lodge does have a run. It doesn't look as if Cam. No, Cam does defend. So yeah,
Oh,
this.
there's
Oh,
Mushtaq
that's
on. That was a
okay.
big hit in
Well,
the wall. But that's all that resolved, I guess.
yeah, that's the position for Cam, and
He's just let
yeah,
Lodge through.
yeah. Um, well, that solves that one.
Yeah, sort of
Um,
anticlimactic.
yeah, I don't know what to say to that. Like that's unfortunate, and also for Mushtaq, he doesn't have a pit stop left. Uh, if he's got enough damage, he's gonna have to take an extra pit stop, which will drop him down another 2 positions. So
What I'd do
we'll
if I
see if
was
he
him,
tries to
though,
survive.
have a look at. So he's currently got 15, 20 seconds over Fletch, who has, well, we'll see. I think it's another 15 seconds over List. So you'd have to be losing a second a lap to be able to do anything. The gap is 14 seconds. So to be able to lose two positions, so to lose out to List, you'd have to be losing 2 seconds a lap. So the golden number is Mushtaq setting below 127s? We'll see after this coming lap, because this lap's not going to be representative because he's just pile drived into the wall of Paddock Bend.
Yep.
29.7. At that rate, yeah, you're kissing goodbye to P11. Oh, P10, P11, P12, maybe.
Yeah, that's we'll have to monitor that as Faruqi has made it up to 7th position, looking to
This is
take
Shaw and
an
Lynn.
overtake on Shaw, and side by side, has to back out a little bit, has to take the apex very slow to avoid an incident there. Does allow Shaw to build a little bit more of a gap. So Jimmy Lin a lap ahead of these two. Was I believe lapping Shaw before this,
Yes,
and
6
is
laps on the
yet
last
to
lap.
pit. So should be getting away from these two. Shouldn't have an issue there. So is Shaw and Faruqi left to fight on their own? Bentley versus McLaren, two very British brands here, and
Two very British brands, but one of them secretly German.
yep, definitely. um, yeah, it does look as if his shot, now that he has a little bit of space there ahead of him, with Jimmy Lin not being that close, able to build a little bit of a gap. But here's where we start to see the car differences in characteristics come in. McLaren
And they've got
is,
O'Malley up to the head.
yeah, and does look like he's gonna be on the outside, able to get by very quickly. But yeah, McLaren has been the quickest car in a straight line here, as O'Malley, a little bit of an awkward position there. Rookie forced to take an inside line through there, and actually not able to get onto the outside of the track for that corner either. So actually loses out, well, almost 2-3 tenths there, and is Shaw able to breathe for a little bit.
I was talking about Mushtaq beforehand. Last lap was only 9/10 of a second slower than Fletcher. So I think he's going to stay out and just try and get it home to the end ahead of his Raw Holloway friend.
Yeah, it does look as if that will be what happens here. Obviously, though, when you have an incident like that where you're carrying a lot of damage, another thing to consider is that that damage might affect the handling of the car and cause even more incidents.
Mushtaq's just driven into the forest.
Um.
Can we have
Okay.
That's. I don't think the McLaren's meant to be there. To be honest.
Yeah, that's.
I think that might have decided P9 in the race. Yeah, he's gone.
Yeah. So that's that's unfortunate.
So Shah is still on the track. I've just seen the number 17 is decided to end up in. What's happening?
So that's Unstead. So it looks like internet issues starting to play a factor. So that's Unstead into the off-road.
He's been shadow roamed out the
Paddock
server.
Hill. Yeah,
That's
so
another 2 cars out. That's going to be a relief for Langston Foster. That's going to be a massive boost for Shah and Faruqi, who are battling away for what has now become 5th.
Yeah, that's rather unfortunate. It doesn't look as if it was server side, as only 2 cars disconnected, but coincidentally disconnecting at the same time, both
of them
in McLaren's as well.
Both of them in different counties, I believe. So
yeah,
we're not looking at a kind of Durham desync or a Sheffield snap or anything like that.
No, not this time. So that's unfortunate for those 2 cars, but it does open up the midfield quite a lot now. Yeah, I mean, we have seen cars end up in that piece of the forest before in real life. However, not generally where you want to see a car.
I mean, we do have a Mercedes and a McLaren here, so they can recreate it if they want. Actually,
That is
no, that was the
very
other
true.
side, wasn't it?
Yeah.
GT World Challenge. But I've just noticed, one of the things that I've just noticed there is Shah didn't take his standard line through Surtees. I think he was taking a more defensive line, which means the line that's favoured by Shah was actually taken by Faruqi. which has allowed him to close right back up. But ooh, was that a bit of oversteer for McLaren?
No, I think that was Furuki just taking it extra slow there. Like, this is the thing you have to be wary of at Sheen. Is if the car ahead of you is even slightly slower than you, you will punt them, and that's an instant penalty for you. We saw that happen earlier in the race. So if you're very close and you're not able to get side by side, you do have to play a little bit safe if you don't want a penalty there. And I think that's what we saw Furuki doing as well.
I hate to take it into a kind of more vicious game of tactics, but Cam Gold is about to pass the start finish line. They have. We'll see in a second what kind of advantage Furuki has over Cam Gold. It is about 35 seconds. Do you just dump Shah and drive off into the distance, make it look like a minor accident, get a 15-second time penalty, and go, I'm happy with that?
Well,
just hope you don't get a drive-through.
I'm going to say that that's probably not the wisest choice, especially given that if you are found to intentionally do that, it's effectively grounds for removal from the entire series. So probably not the best choice, but side by side they go now.
This is going to be potentially blue flags with holding with Nola, but they've just let him through.
Yeah, so Furuki actually...
Shah, though.
Yeah, Furuki dodges out of the way there. And that does let Jack Noah through, as I think that's Romley there. There also letting those all three cars go on the main straight. Oh, not really fighting for anything at this point, I believe, in terms of position.
Oh, but Shah goes deep.
Ooh, and that's gonna allow Furuki to close up.
Is he going to look going into 30s? No, I think what he's going to do is force Ish into a more defensive line, so then he can try and get a switchback going down the drop. And look, that McLaren's got more launch.
Yeah, and a better straight line speed. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. Like, McLaren has the better straight line speed here, especially now in the toe. But the Pilgrim's drop, the straight is just not long enough. Has to brake late, does get a little bit loose, but where's this McLaren gonna go? There's just no space to overtake. You can't, without forcing the other car effectively either off the track or getting alongside very early as a result of a mistake, such as the one at Sheen, like Furuki just did. It's very difficult to overtake here. And this is Fletcher now into the pits for a third time. So that's yeah, I wonder why that is. He's actually lost out a couple positions as a result. I wonder if there was some kind of an incident we failed to see. And so potentially an incident with Jason List at Moss earlier on that lap. So yeah, very quick pit stop, just a bit of fuel, probably repairs at the same time. So he's up and running very quickly as well.
Yeah. Well, we've not got long left in this race. We've got about 13 minutes left to run. Let's have a look at what the situation is. Well, it's been 55 laps done for Harry Spears. He's about to... Well, no, he's done 54. He's about to complete 55. Spears, Nola, and Lynn still to take a stop. And the fastest lap by Simhound is currently destined for Harry Spears.
Yep, Simhound fastest lap, just to correct you there, Cav. Yeah, no, it's currently still held by Harry Spears, and I think that looks to stay the same until probably the last set of pit stops. Apologies for the slight issues with the feed here. I think we're having some kind of connection issue there. Hopefully that'll be sorted out in a very quick notice. Yeah, it does look as if the top of the race, top end of the field, has seemed to seems to be settled there. I don't see the top four making massive changes here, especially if there isn't any big incidents happening. Jimmy Lin holding that third place quite safely. I think the bottom half of the midfield is where we might see some changes, as I
Oh,
believe that is Ishan Wells. They're getting a little bit loose as well. And yeah, I think Share they're getting very close. And yeah, just trying
we've
to
lost Fletcher from the session.
oh, so that's a is that a disconnection?
I think it was a disconnection.
Yeah, and that's Share getting through on Ishan Wells, so taking the inside at the very least.
What?
And oh, what's happened with Ishan Wells there? Like a momentary lift or something there. I'm
Hang
a
on.
bit unsure
So
of what happened there.
showing by end showing 14 connected, but I can still see Fletcher on our broadcast. I wonder what's going on.
Yeah, I think it might just be the desync on the times. Oh, that's
Oh,
Faruqi and avoids the wall, I believe.
Gia.
That's yeah, that's a good recovery from Faruqi, getting a little bit unsettled there at Paddock
He
Hill.
has pulled into the pits. Yeah,
Yeah,
Fletcher's
so
retired.
that's potentially a technical issue with Fletcher, I think. He did have the early pit stop earlier. So we'll have to see at the end of the race what that was. Apologies for the small technical issues we're having. By the looks of it, some kind of connection issues to our feed. But I will commentate radio style while we wait. So currently, actually, all the battles have kind of started to spread out, especially after that Cher and Ishan Wells uh, incident. I'm not really sure what to call it. Ishan just kind of lifted there. But yeah, small little problems there. It does seem like we have our feed back for now. So apologies for that, but hopefully it'll stay alive and stable for the rest of the race. Just in terms of a whole race update, in case you have missed it, we've seen quite a lot of action, especially in the early part of the race. Harry Spears currently in the lead. Jack Noller up top in second place, has just decided to pit for the second time. So that'll be something that Harry Spears probably has to react to as well. So we'll see. We'll see if he decides to. A very quick pit stop from Jack Noller as well. So we'll see if he decides to if Harry Spears decides to react to that one. But currently a healthy lead. So Jimmy Lin and Harry Spears the only ones yet to pit. And Faruqi now still chasing Shaw. Ishan Wells now behind in between them as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's Wells. Making it a bit easier.
I believe you're a little bit ahead of the stream there, Calf. But there we go. There's what Calf was talking about. Ishan was going just a bit wide there, and I believe that was Hawthorne's. No, that would have been on at Westfield. So yeah, Ishan Wells just avoiding that battle and letting Sean Faruqi still battle. Obviously, Faruqi had that little drift earlier. So yeah.
Yeah, we've got Spears in the pits now. Our final stop. It's a longer stop though, so I think he might have decided. He decided to take tyres. Either way, Noller's going through into the lead.
Yeah. So is this actually? No, this can't be tires, can it?
I think it is.
Yeah. So that's Harry Spears taking tires.
Well, you'd hope it's tyres. Look at that big kick of
Yeah.
oversteer going through Paddock Hill.
That was a 35-second pit stop. Yeah, so Harry Spears now gap between Jack Noah and Harry
About
Spears
5
is about
seconds.
5 seconds. So we're actually going to have a battle for the lead in the last 7 minutes of the race. But speaking of battles, here's Ferrucchi and Shaw yet again. McLaren versus Bentley. And again, where can this McLaren go? There is just no room for overtake. The Bentley's too wide.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not a BMW, but it is certainly one of the biggest cars out there.
Yeah, no,
see,
definitely.
I think Lynn's pulling in now for his final stop, just ahead of that.
So it does look as if Fletcher has had some kind of an engine failure slash hardware slash software slash haunted car problem. So that is why he retired. That's why he boxed, and that's why he ended up retiring. So basically, if you are running Fletcher's car for any reasons, I recommend giving it a little exorcism before you do that.
To be fair, he drives an Alpha. it's very in keeping with the theme.
Yeah, that's definitely possible. So, yeah, cutting to Jimmy Lynn, safe third place as it stands. Has a good 30-second gap to Anna Langston Foster currently in fourth. I believe this might actually be Jimmy Lynn's first podium. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I think it is.
Yeah, so assuming he stays on track, that will be a good first podium as well. So that's a very, very exciting thing as well. So while we're waiting for this lead battle especially to heat up, just want to give a quick shout out again to our partners at SimStaff. If you want to get involved into motorsports, if you want to get involved into esports, everything from production to event technician, everything like that. If you have enthusiasm, if you have the skills, head over to simstaff.net/careers, view their open vacancies, and get started. If you want to mention you're from BUSR, that might also give you a little bit of an advantage as well. So yeah, go simstaff.net/careers and get started in motorsports and esports.
Yeah, we've got Ferrucchi and Shah right back up next to each other again. They were very close last lap, and then I think Ferrucchi had a bit of a wiggle, and it didn't work out. But oh, what's happening here? He's going to the left? No, Shah is going to the middle. Ferrucchi's looking to the right, but it's... No, he backs out. To be fair, they've got a few laps left. He's not run out of opportunities just yet.
And it's going to be very close. Look at the gap between Harry Spears and Jack Noah as well. That gap was 5 seconds, and it has been closing very quickly.
It's second past the last lap, Juuso.
Oh, God, yeah. And that's Ferrucchi wide at Sheen. It scares me every time when these cars go wide at Sheen, especially the McLarens. But yeah, that's a second and almost 2/10 quicker, Harry Spears on the last lap. And look how close that is Jack Noah within smelling distance there. That's incredible driving right now from Harry Spears. Able to set extremely quick laps, and I believe
this is even more. What is it? He's found 1.4 seconds this lap, Juuso.
At 22.7, almost
by Jack.
Yeah, 24.1 as a comparison point currently. So right now, the fastest lap still held by, the Simhound fastest lap still held by Harry Spears, a 22.6, a 10th from that. Harry on fresh tires, chasing the win, has all but secured that fastest lap. Jack Noah not really, if he wants to fight for this win, Jack Noah would most likely, if Jack wants to fight for the fastest lap, he would most likely have to pit. But he's obviously fighting for the win. And Harry Spears, gets a little bit close there with Jason List as well, but able to duck away. And look at this gap closing every single corner. Harry Spears hunting. We're used to seeing more and more, Juuso. Oh my God. We've seen these pink Bentleys with a Loughborough logo on them. We've seen them be mega quick, especially here at Brands, and we've seen them catch cars very quickly. And Harry Spears is following that trend now, fighting Jack Miller. And this could be done this lap.
2 laps to go. What's going to happen? Is he going to make a move? He looks at it in Paddock. He's looking again. What's going to happen in Druitt? Is he going to make a move? Oh, they hit each other. Spears into the back of Nola. Nola comes back through Spears. I think lets him back through.
Yeah, that was
He kinda had
definitely.
to.
Yeah, that was definitely going to be a penalty. So the Jack is let through there, and now Harry Spears has to try and make that overtake again. And that's something we've actually seen before as well. We've seen this exact same thing happen before. Harry Spears going for that move a little bit too aggressive and does make contact. And now with another, well, they're on the penultimate lap now. So Harry Spears potentially only has a single chance left.
Oh, and that's Ishan Wells up ahead.
Ooh,
Bentley on Bentley helping each other out, maybe?
They're gonna get close here at Sheen. See what Ishan Wells decides to do. If he tries to duck out of the way, goes to the outside, lets these two cars through. That actually compromises the line just a little bit for Harry Spears. Now run through clearways. And getting
he's taking a wider
close.
line.
Yeah, gonna try and use that launch of the Bentley. Has the toe. Speaking of a white line through Paddock Hill. There goes Ishan.
Oh,
bit of contact.
Nola's sideways. Spears decide, you know what? I'm gonna keep that.
Yeah, this might be something that ends up decided in the stewards' room.
Oh,
but
it's gonna be, isn't it?
Overtake in the end, and that is Harry Spears through into first place as the timer runs down, which means this will be the last lap. Harry Spears or Jack Miller will take the checkered flag at the end of this lap for those two cars. Isha has managed to build a bit of a gap to Faruqi, and that might be it for that battle. They will have another lap after this, I believe. So yeah, and Harry Spears now has the tires and will run away. Harry Spears will finish first, barring a massive mistake. Whether he will take the win in the race will most likely be decided in the stewards' room, however.
Just reminds me of the battles we've seen Spears doing recently. I'm just thinking of the likes of Spa and Suzuka, where it was contact at that point with Angus Fender that made a decision. However, this time, on track, Harry Spears takes the checkered flag. Jack Miller in second. 1.8 seconds behind. Though, of course, that result could be subject to change.
Yeah, we'll be watching that one. A couple more people taking the checkered flag. Jimmy Lynn, I believe the first podium in the BUSR for Jimmy Lynn, and a great finish at that. And yeah, I'm sure he'll be very happy with that one. Has driven a consistent race, a bit of a quiet race at that. Obviously, we didn't talk about him a lot, as we're seeing some of the people laps down coming in.
Cameron Gold,
Cam
P7.
Gold, P7, I think a respectable finish for Cam. Obviously, I think there was potential for more, I think, for Cam, but wasn't really able to do anything there. Anna Langston Foster, P4, I think she can be very happy with that one as she goes off at Paddock Hill after that as well. And it does look like Isha and Faruqi are able to avoid incidents for the last lap, and Isha does take fifth place. These two have been providing us with battles this entire race, and I think it's been very exciting to watch these two, P5, P6 respectively.
Just waiting for Ethan O'Malley, who is behind Harry Spears, so I think he's gone off on that last lap to come across the line. There we have it. And that's that. Round one complete.
That is that. And yeah, I think we'll see who ends up being decided the winner. I think that'll be in the stewards room. But Harry Spears taking the checker flag, Jack Miller in P2. I think we were expecting those two to be on top. I think that's not really a surprise to anyone that has followed the BUSR for a while. Anyone that's followed ACC sim racing in general will know of at least Harry Spears, most likely. So yeah, no, I think we'll be seeing who the winner is, but I think the really impressive drivers to me is Jimmy Lin and Langston
Oh
Foster.
yeah.
Consistent performances, stayed at the top the entire time, no major mistakes, a small incident here and there, but were able to stay up top and a very impressive drive.
I think there are two more that I would want to mention, and they're both people who unfortunately didn't make it to the end of the race, which are Mushtaq and Unstead. Unstead, new to ACC from what I gather, has an iRacing background. Solid first performance until the internet took him out with not long left. And Mushtaq, a really good run. Again, a couple of incidents brought out, taken out the race by internet issues. I think that I think it was quite good. But should we bring it to some interviews, you say?
Yeah, I think we shall. So starting off, uh, Jimmy Lin P3, I believe your first podium in the BUSR as well. Congratulations. How was it?
It was okay. I was very nervous from the start because qualifying P3 and it was very close for the majority of the first half of the stint. But honestly, I wasn't exactly quickest, but I kept it on the track. I think, which is what mattered in the end.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it is a matter of just the kind of consistency that pays off. What did you have in your mind coming into this race? Did you think that it was going to be a matter of being down to strategy, or were you just focused on just driving?
I think coming into this, I did have the impression that the podium was possible, but knowing the update, I was a bit nervous. Like I wasn't so sure what was going to happen, but it it seemed to still work well. Brands is still like a strong track for me and the car, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, talking about the strong car, we saw an update today, and some setup changes required for some people. Were you one of the people affected, or were you able to get everything sorted just in time for the race?
Well, the car felt a bit different. Like at the start, especially during like quali and first stint, car felt very nervous. So I was trying to take it a bit carefully. But like towards the second half, like I think I kind of got used to it, and I just got into the rhythm of things.
Well, as
No,
my commentator has hijacked my booth after I was busy hijacking his, I think one last question, Jimmy, and let's look forward to Zolder next week. What are you thinking? Do you think it's going to be a good race for you? Are you a bit cautious? How is it?
I haven't really looked into it, but it's a much safer track. Like it's much harder to lose the car. So I think I'll be more consistent, but I'm not so sure on the pace.
Excellent. Well, congratulations on third, and
Thank
we
you.
look forward to seeing you try and replicate it next week at Zolder. Hello,
all
Yuso.
right. Yeah, we are back. We haven't been cloned. It was just a small error
I'm
on our
surprised
side.
with technical glitches we haven't ended up in each other's boxes or something like that.
No. Well, let's bring in our second place finisher for now. So, hello, Jack. Second place at the checkered flag. We'll see if that stands later on. A very consistent race up top there. How did you? What did you think about it?
Yeah, if it's gonna be like that for the rest of the season, generally apart from that last few minutes, it's gonna be a lonely championship. But Harry was in another league today, so congrats to him and his pace and that. But I thought the only way to try and win this is keep in the pit stop window and as we were talking there, almost play a little bit of mind games, like pitting at a certain point to make it look like I was going for fastest lap and not take tyres and hope that he did, and that gave me the lead, obviously with a massive tyre disadvantage, but laps kept ticking down and then saw what happened in the end.
Yeah, you were talking about the Simhound fastest lap there, and one of the things that stood out to me was that as you're saying, when Harry took tyres towards the end, it was sometimes as much as 1.4 seconds a lap, the difference. So were you gambling on just doing one tyre change and seeing that pay off with splash and dash at the end?
Yeah, because that's how we ran it in the winter season. All three of us, we did that sort of strategy. One stop was for 1 litre of fuel, and one stop was for tyres. But being as Harry had such a big lead, he could have. Um, he felt that he could have stopped for tyres as well. But I was just keeping an eye on that gap. And I knew I was just about inside it, so I decided not to pit for tyres, and then saw what happened at the end again.
Yeah.
Um, we've been talking a lot about the McLaren dominance at Brands. Obviously, it didn't really work out today for you, but we did see the McLarens quite far up top as well. How do you feel about the car going into the rest of the season in terms of balance?
Yeah, well, the McLaren's generally very strong. I wouldn't. I know McLaren's strong around here, but I wouldn't write off that Bentley because before I'd driven this, the Bentley was the fastest car I'd driven around here in the last 2 years of sim racing in ACC. So Bentley isn't slow, especially that last sector. I was generally with Harry. I was keeping up with him in the first two, and that last sector he had gained 4 tenths on me. So that's where the lap time was. The McLaren for the rest of the season, it's difficult to say. The massive curbs of this season are going to play into the Bentley's hands, and I imagine that's one of the reasons why Harry chose it, as its strengths like that. So we'll see how the rest of the season goes. I'm looking forward to possibly more fights with Harry and maybe Angus if he turns up for a few, apart from the AOR rounds.
I mean, you were mentioning like other rounds of the season. This will be our last question. We'll look ahead to Zolder now, where you do have some big curbs. I mean, the first chicane is quite a good example of that. But in places like Villeneuve, the curbs are a lot flatter. Do you think that might be a bit more even a playing ground then between the Bentley and the McLaren?
Maybe like you just gain so much time if you can jump those curbs, and the McLaren is probably one of the worst cars in the game with taking the curbs, and the Bentley is, if it's still like that from where it was in 1.7, quite mad as to how much it can take over there. And even the flat curbs, they have their rumble strips, and they're not completely flat. They've got dips and cambers in the road, so the car still very much bottoms out over those. But like I said, we'll do my best, and we'll see if we can take it to Harry like he took it to me here.
All right. Well, congratulations on the second place, and thank you so much for joining us.
Take care. Thank you.
All
I think
right.
on that note, let's bring in our first driver across the line, shall we? Uh, Harry, welcome up to the commentary booth. Long time no see. How are you feeling after that race?
Yeah, that was I didn't expect those final 5 minutes to be quite so action packed. Um, yeah, that's very unexpected. After having a race where I was just sort of out front by myself the whole time, and I yeah messed up my final pit stop, and yeah just ended up with a pretty fierce battle with Jack.
Yeah, talking about that final pit stops, obviously, also congratulations. You did win the Simhound fastest lap of the race as well. But yeah, speaking of that fastest lap, it almost looked as if you were going for that fastest lap as a when you did pit and you got new tires. But you had actually held it for well, most of the race in the beginning. Was that pit stop intended for that fastest lap, or was it a different strategy call in general?
Yeah, that was for fastest lap, so that was actually pretty embarrassing because yeah, it wasn't necessary at the end. And yeah, I was talking to Jack in the interview waiting room, and I thought that I thought he'd pitted so early because usually you see people pit on like the third or second to last lap to do 1 litre. So when I saw Jack pit with like 7 or 8 laps left, oh well, yeah, for sure he's going to pit to get fastest lap and new tyres. I thought, yeah, I might as well go to get new tyres in that case. And it turns out that was a mind game that he wanted to play on me, and he played me like a fiddle. So but, yeah, it didn't go spectacularly. And yeah, and then yeah, missed my pit box. So that added a little bit of time. And it turns out I didn't even need to get the new tyres because Jack wasn't even going for fastest lap anyway.
Uh, I mean, it's shaping up to be one hell of a season again. Uh, this was quite a balanced track in the end, with the McLaren seemingly as powerful as it has been before this new update. We've spoken to our other two podium finishers about how it's affected the McLaren. How do you feel this update that came out today has affected the Bentley?
To be completely honest, not at all. There's been a lot of people who have said, "Oh, is that bit killed my car?" And the Mercedes, especially, because obviously that's my favourite car, so it was one which I was considering for this season. I'm quite happy I didn't choose that. But it's not affected the Bentley at all, if you ask me. In fact, today I was even running maximum negative toe still in both the race and qualifying, and felt it. Yeah, had zero pace loss whatsoever.
It's really interesting to hear. Obviously, we've heard quite a lot of opinions on how it's affected different cars, but good to hear it's not affected you too much. Looking ahead, going into the next couple races, obviously, if the championship battle is going to be this close every race, we're looking for a very exciting season. But what are your thoughts on going ahead?
Yeah, so there's a few tracks which I know that the McLaren is probably going to beat me at, but there's a lot of tracks where the Bentley's not only good but feels incredible to drive. Like Zolder, the next track. It's one of my favourite tracks, and it's also one of the Bentley's favourite tracks. So that's one which I'm hope to do well at that one. It's certainly a track that I don't mind driving.
Excellent. Congratulations again, Harry. Thank you for joining us, and all the best next week going ahead into Zolder.
Yeah, thanks guys. See ya.
All right.
So yeah,
So
what do we say about this? We've been watching this race for over an hour and a half. We commentated on 20 minutes of qualifying. What are your big talking points, Juuso?
I mean, we were expecting a close battle between the top two. I think we did end up getting it in a very strange way, but we did end up getting it. I think the really impressive thing to me was today was just the pace at the upper midfield. I think we saw a lot of consistent drives. We saw a lot of strong pace, and we saw a lot of good battles, especially from the middle of the midfield. And I think if we can keep seeing those throughout the season, especially as we go into different tracks where different car characteristics and the driver strengths are highlighted, I think we'll be looking forward to some really good battles. And the third place in the championship, with Jimmy Lin taking the first third place now, it's actually wide open. I think Jimmy Lin has proven his pace, but there are other drivers we know that are relatively on a similar pace. And even though he was on his own today, that might be very different on different tracks. So I think the fight for the third place is going to be just as big as the fight for the championship itself.
Yeah, I've got nothing else to say. I'm looking forward to what happens next week. I hope no love is lost on Valentine's Day around Zolder, but maybe people will not be wanting to share those Belgian chocolates. I can't think of anything else to say today. Well, thanks to our partners at SimHound and SimStaff as well. And well, you got anything else you'd like to say?
Well, I mean, you spoke of thanking our partners. So I'll just, remind everyone one more time, if you want some comfortable sim racing boots, maybe some gloves, and maybe even a whole rig, head over to simhound.com, use code BUSR10 for a 10% discount as well. And and you can race very comfortably. You can race it stylishly as well. There's lots of different colors. So yeah, go check them out. Go check out SimStaff if you want to get into our lovely industry in both esports and motorsports. And that's it from us today. So we'll be back on Saturday for our F1 series. And of course, we have our rally going throughout as well. So keep an eye on the Discord if you want an update on that. But yeah, we'll be back on Saturday at around the same time for the start of our F1 season. With me today has been Cav. Always lovely commentating with you. I've
Brilliant
been
being
Yuso.
alongside you as well.
Yep, I've been Yuso. With us producing today have been Pete and Max. And I believe that is it for us tonight. I hope you all have a good night.